The different forms of trauma. Presented by the Ward and Wellness Services. In association with CJ Ward Creations. Flood watch. A flood watch indicates that water from a river may overflow into the watch region. Flash flood watch indicates the possibility of flash floods in or near the watch area. As heavy rains sweep into and throughout the area, they could persist up to 12 hours. Flood warning. Flooding conditions are present in the warning region, and individuals who are in the warning area should seek higher ground. Flash flood warning indicates that flash flooding is happening in the warning region, and residents should seek higher ground. Assemble a go bag in case of an emergency. Families should keep enough water, food, and other emergency supplies to last at least 3 days, as well as enough prescriptions to last at least 7 days. Important documents, a battery-powered or hand-crank radio, and pet supplies should all be gathered by families. In the event that the family needs to flee quickly, keep provisions in a large backpack or easy-to-carry container. Get your property ready. Keep sandbags and proper cleaning supplies on hand if you live in a flood-prone location. Determine potential house dangers and make plans to remedy them in the event of flooding. Know how and where to turn off the power or gas. For example, make a family communication and preparedness strategy. Because flooding can happen quickly, and when families are separated, having a family communication strategy for who to contact during a storm is essential. If communication is difficult in the area, this may entail locating a loved one who lives out of state or in the vicinity. Families should keep critical contact information on hand, determine who they can stay with in the event of an evacuation, and make arrangements for pets and livestock to be taken care of. Families should identify elevated locations in their neighborhood and practice evacuation routes together. Fill out the preparation wallet card and review the family preparedness plan. Make provisions for the needs of children. Families should teach their children simple facts about floods, such as how beneficial some floods may be to the ecosystem. Encourage parents to participate in preparedness activities with their children and babysitters. Families should also learn about the emergency preparations in place at their children's school or after-school program. Help Kids Cope is a mobile app that teaches parents and caregivers how to communicate with children at various stages of development. During. Knowing what to do in the event of a flood can give families a sense of control and enable them to take precautions to ensure their safety. When dealing with a flood, families should keep the following in mind. Families should do the following while they are not in an evacuation zone. Keep an eye out for emergency alerts and current weather information. Make sure their emergency supplies are up to date and are ready for an evacuation. Families should keep food and water, documents, personal items, and possessions in one spot that may be easily accessed in the event of an emergency. Families should keep their cell phones charged and be aware of their escape alternatives. Identify prospective pickup sites if you need to share a ride. Be ready to turn off the power. If they are concerned that their home will be flooded, they should move vital goods to the upper levels or off the ground. Families should do the following during an evacuation. Evacuate with their emergency go kit. All loved ones and pets. If it is safe to depart by car, families should evacuate when told and follow designated evacuation routes. They should not be allowed to drive through flooded areas. Families should travel to the pickup place if they need to share a ride. Families should flee to a neighbor's house or the nearest high ground if it is not safe to do so by car. If necessary, locate a designated public shelter. Families can identify the nearest open shelter by texting shelter and their zip code to 43362 for FEMA. They can also use the Shelter Finder app from the American Red Cross. Make sure their belongings are safe. If time allows, families should switch off utilities and unplug appliances. If they are unable to evacuate with them, they should devise a plan for their pets and animals. When you are safely out of the flood zone, notify your other family members. Families should do the following as soon as the flooding stops or the water recedes. Understand the health risks. Small children, pregnant women, and persons with health problems should avoid the flooded area until it has been cleaned up. Floodwaters can contain risks, bacteria, and chemicals, so families should keep children away from places that are still flooded. Keep an eye out for potential dangers. Families should be on the lookout for wild creatures seeking shelter in their houses, as well as downed electrical wires. Before re-entering their home, they should evaluate it for structural damage and turn off the power until an electrician has inspected it and deemed it safe. Encourage families to rely on government approval before drinking, brushing teeth, or bathing in water. Take measures to reclaim your losses. Families should compile a list of any objects that have been lost or damaged, as well as photos of any items that must be discarded immediately for safety reasons. Families should contact their insurance agent to register a claim if their home has been damaged. Freeze photos and documents that have been wet in water until families have the time and emotional strength to deal with them. Friends and family should be informed about your safety. Because phone lines may be down, text messaging and social media may be the best options. Parents and caregivers can handle children's reactions during a flood. Be a calm role model. Children may imitate the reactions of adults around them, and they may pick up ideas for self-care from what their parents and caregivers do. In a low, steady voice, provide simple yet factual information. Encourage activities that are soothing or distracting. Slow breathing, having a stuffed animal or blanket to hold, or being distracted from the storm by dancing. Singing or playing games may be beneficial to children. Children should not be forced to talk about what is going on by their parents or caretakers. It's possible that playing outside isn't safe. Finding opportunities for parents and caregivers to take a minute for themselves, express their thoughts, accept that it may be a stressful or uncertain scenario, and engage in a coping plan may be beneficial. Inspect the youngsters for any injuries. Parents and caregivers should clean up any injuries and seek medical help if necessary. After. Most families will heal over time after a flood. The amount of time depends on the severity of the flooding, whether the evacuation was quick and frightening, the amount of damage and loss, and how well the family copes with post-flood stress. The amount of support received from family, school, and community also helps to mitigate the damage. Some families will be able to swiftly return to their typical schedule, while others will face substantial challenges, including financial difficulties, numerous moves, and possibly health issues. The ways that parents and other caregivers cope during and after the flood influence children's functioning. Children often turn to adults for information, comfort, and help. Parents and teachers should try to remain calm, answer children's questions honestly, and respond as best they can to requests. Children and adolescents do better when they understand the event they have just gone through. Flood resources. Description. Floods are the most common natural meteorological phenomenon, and they occur when an area is flooded or flooded by muck. Hurricanes, tsunamis, overtopped levees, snowmelt, overflowing drainage systems, and excessive rainfall are all examples of floods. People who live or work in low-lying areas, near water, behind a levee, or downstream from a dam, areas where water can gather, overflow, or be suddenly released are most typically affected. Most floods happen over a few days and in the same area, giving officials time to issue formal warnings and prepare. Others, like flash floods, might happen suddenly and without notice. Before. The greatest way to help children and families recover after a flood is to be prepared ahead of time. Families should do the following to strengthen their preparedness. Be aware of their flood danger, as well as how to obtain up-to-date official flood information and the best evacuation routes. Families should be aware of areas at risk for seasonal or flash flooding, as well as landslide-prone areas, which official websites, radio stations, or social media platforms will provide emergency information, what documents and belongings to bring if evacuating, and whether they have adequate flood insurance. If any family members have persistent health concerns or mobility issues, or if they will require assistance during an evacuation, encourage them to contact local authorities. Assist families in understanding the various flood alerts.